Now that we've had a few decades of phenomenal writing and top-tier animation, the genre we love so much is now completely worldwide. So it's time for us to take a step back and ask, who do you feel belongs in the Mount Rushmore of animes?
This is a very difficult question for me because I'm a stickler for endings. I really think, you gotta finish strong.
Okay.
And my list has changed because two that I definitely had on my Mount Rushmore, I don't really care for the ending. And then there's another one that probably on Mount Rushmore that has not ended. So let's do it like this. So my Mount Rushmore, and we're just gonna talk about shonen anime because it's definitely different if you bring a shoujo.
Of course, yeah.
But so it'll be obviously One Piece. It's kind of like I don't want to put it on the same tier. It's like if there's a god Mount Rushmore of one, that'll be One Piece, and then
One Piece to me is a solid one. I definitely think so because of the strength of how long it's been running, how relevant it's been running, and just how it just introduces concepts that we're somewhat already used to, but showing it from a different point of view.
So like I said, it's on there, but it's just, to me, it's so much higher than everything else that it's kind of difficult. But back to the other, so Naruto, Bleach, and Hunter x Hunter, right, would be, I guess, the three rounding out the other, right? But I feel like all three of them are flawed in this way. Both Bleach and Naruto's ending, I didn't necessarily care for or not. Yes, I finished both of them. Yeah, I don't care for the endings. The show started off very strong, and at one point in time, I thought Naruto was the greatest greatest anime I've ever seen.
Yeah.
One Piece clearly destroyed that narrative, you know what I'm saying? But I watched Naruto first. I thought Naruto was better than One Piece for a very long time until they overtook it. And Hunter x Hunter, as amazing as it is, I don't think it's ever gonna get finished, to just be honest. And it's hard to put it on Mount Rushmore if it never ends. If you never finish the story, how can it be on Mount Rushmore? So that's my dilemma as far as that.
Well, I do have One Piece on that Mount Rushmore. Even though it's not over, I feel like it's a classic, not going nowhere. You could reanimate it, do whatever you want to do. The story is going to live on forever. It's the Shakespeare work of our time. After that, I have Hunter x Hunter on there. Even though Hunter x Hunter's not finished, I feel like Hunter x Hunter's power system and that the way they wrote the story as if something bigger and bigger just kept happening puts it in a category, I think it's like a blueprint that a lot of people used for their anime to be like, okay, I can actually make my story even deeper if I do that. My next one would be Demon Slayer for the animation. The way they stepped up the animation, I think Demon Slayer changed the way some people angle how they promote their anime. When you had the situation where they put the Mugen Train in theaters and people went and saw it and were like, oh my God, it was a long time. Like we don't usually see canon material in theaters. It's always some story that like nestled in between the seasons, something that wouldn't really actually happen, or you'd have the progression of them character getting a power that is never brought up again. So I think them making canon movies and somehow still finding a way to put it into the season changed the entire game. So it has to go on the Mount Rushmore on that. After that, I'd say Akira, because Akira opened up the door for a lot of people when it came to anime, especially in the American market. They've never seen anything like that. At one point, it was just your standard cartoons, or some things were anime, but you didn't know they were anime at the time, depending on what your age was at the time. But Akira changed the game.
I definitely, all those were classics. I mean, you also got Gurren Lagann, if you haven't seen that. And for me, I don't really like mecha anime. Gurren Lagann was so good that that's the one mecha anime that I actually watched. It's a classic. It's a very good anime. It's just amazing. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you have.
But what was its impact on society? Because everything we kind of named have like this really, really big impact.
So, and that is the crux. So, are we talking about cultural impact, or are we talking about what you think is just because for instance, right, we love Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer, you know what I'm saying, did show canon anime as, you know what I'm saying, it made having canon in movies a thing. But there's definitely obviously My Hero was doing anime movies before Demon Slayer
But it wasn't on that scale.
Yeah, it was, but it wasn't canon. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Or like, is it wrong with Pick Up Girls in the Dungeon?
I remember
Also
the Dragon Ball Z movies. They were never canon.
So like, again, Demon Slayer, I think, has definitely a bigger cultural impact.
Correct.
And if we're talking about cultural impact, then that definitely changes the narrative. For me, when I look at a Mount Rushmore, I look at, for me, what anime did I either impact me, or at one point I thought this could be the best thing I've seen, right? Yeah. So that's how I view it. But if you want to talk about culturally,
it has to be culture to me.
Because if that's the case, then we have to put Dragon Ball Z in there. We have to put Pokemon in there. Because those cultural impacts, and let's be honest.
They do have the biggest cultural impact.
And for me, like, again, people are going to get upset about this, but DBZ story is god-awful. It's just god-awful story. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? I know.
Can we admit that now? Is that...
Listen, and I grew up on Dragon Ball Z. I watched it on Toonami and everything. But it is a god-awful story that they keep on remaking and redoing, and now they're trying to redo it again. It's god-awful. But the impact of DBZ on just a whole generation of people is undeniable.
Well, I do feel like it has great impact. But my issue is the story also, and somewhat the animation nowadays, when you look back on it.
Yeah. It did not stand the test of time.
Yeah, because I know it had the impact. I looked at everything else that had impact like One Piece, but then I look at how those stories stacked up. It's not as if Dragon Ball Z was written at a time when storytelling wasn't intricate, because there was a lot of stories that were actually written around that same time. People just enjoyed those stories more. For some reason, we just liked watching people get beat up.
That is Dragon Ball Z's strong point. The fighting was definitely the strong point. But again, if we want to talk about cultural impact, you cannot overlook Pokemon.
No, you definitely can't.
And story-wise, Pokemon's story is not bad. The only problem with Pokemon's story is that they got kind of greedy and they wanted to add in more and more Pokemon. But overall, if you just look at the 150,
they should have never went past the 150.
Him becoming a Pokemon trainer, it's a solid story with solid, you know what I'm saying, everything. Like, you know, him getting into being a Pokemon trainer, him getting his Pokemon, him becoming friends with Pikachu, and all that stuff, and being the only Pokemon that doesn't want to go into the Pokeball. Everything about Pokemon was good, and the cultural impact, video games, movies, card games. I mean,
worldwide sensation.
Worldwide sensation. I mean, literally at conventions they sing the theme song in a group. Like, come on. So
what you mean during the lockdowns? Weren't we just walking around with our phones?
Pokemon Go, exactly.
Trying to catch them all.
So that's why for me, like, I don't really look at cultural impact that much, because there's definitely shows that I think had a way bigger impact. But to me, like, there's certain shows that resonate more, and that's what matters more to me. Does it resonate with me personally? And that's why One Piece, to me, even though Naruto, a lot of people would say Naruto had a bigger impact than One Piece does. I know more people that said Naruto is the greatest show they've ever seen than One Piece. But as a fan of anime, a fan of storytelling, it's not even comparable.
Yeah, it's not. The ending, like I said, my gripe with the series, reanimation, jutsu, it bothered me. It felt like you didn't have an army ready, and you just wrote it in there. And I'm the type of person where I believe you pre-write your story to beginning to end. So there might be a chance that it was already written like that. I just don't like the execution of it, but that's just me.
For me, I feel like it seemed very unprepared, because if I'm the Akatsuki and I'm battling every nation, I'm going to get their tail beasts, I'm attacking all these people. You mean to tell me you only had like 10 Akatsuki members to fight like 5 or 6 nations? Come on, man. It seemed like he was very ill prepared. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then luckily somebody came and said, hey, I'll just reanimate every dead character ever and help you guys out. That's just how it felt to me. But again, obviously, like I said, Naruto, Bleach, they had really big impacts. You know what I'm saying? Even Yu Yu Hakusho or Inuyasha.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Big impacts. But to me, Inuyasha, you know what I'm saying, it's not that great. I'm just being honest.
Again, the story and the
storytelling, yeah, like, you know, they still haven't got the villain. So it's like, it's always about what resonates to me. It's not so much like, you know, obviously canon and certain animes like that don't have that big of an impact, to me resonate more, because I remember the storyline so vividly, and it was so different. It was so jarring, the way he does his anime. So that's how I always view things. I view how does it impact you personally.
Now, a lot of people are gonna be kind of hot about us not adding JJK.
This is the thing, and again, like I said, I'm a stickler for endings. Mm-hmm. I need to know how it ends, because I've seen how and obviously we don't read the manga, so
Yeah.
but I've seen how shows can be classics and have a horrible ending and ruin the show. Case in point, Game of Thrones.
Oof.
All right, great show, amazing show. I can't even put it in my top shows because these guys butchered the ending to the point where to me it's just I don't even talk about it anymore. and what I've noticed a lot of times is even if the middle of a series is not great, if you end it off really well, you just love the show. You know what I'm saying? But it's the last taste that you get of this show. So when the ending is bad, you don't really remember all the great that the show gave you. But if I've watched, like, for example, You, where, you know, saying a season was like, it was kind of, you know, iffy. But then it ended so well, I was like, man, this season's amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to me, like,
It's not how you start, it's
how you finish. You know what I'm saying? Like, you might slow down in the middle, cool, whatever. But if you start strong and end strong, people tend to like the show. So JJK has an amazing start. Demon Slayer has an amazing start.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But again, I don't know how they end. And I think, like, you know, I've heard people be upset about some of the Demon Slayer ending because, you know, some things they've seen. I don't know about JJK, but when they are, to me, the next tier of classics. You know what I'm saying? That could very well be on the Mount Rushmore. But I gotta see how they end.
And I also have to see how My Hero Academia ends.
Exactly.
So definitely. So let us know which one in the comment sections you feel should be on Mount Rushmore. Now family, you have to choose one of these two options. First, to your left, you have an anime video essay. And on your right, you have another anime podcast episode. So choose your next piece of entertainment wisely, and I will see you when you get to the next video.